This is Greg Vori, aka Social Grey on Twitter, reporting for the Nerdstalker Media Network. We're at the 2013 Bay Area Maker Faire, and Arduino, the maker engine of choice, was bigger and better than Faire. Let's listen to a maker enthusiast from the Homebrew Robotics Club on why Arduino is big.
Plus, the fact that, things like Arduino, a lot more people are willing to throw, like, okay, I'll throw 25 bucks at something just to see if, and to blink some LEDs and to see if I like it, or to see if the kids like it, and if they do, if they really take off on it, then we'll go out and buy the more expensive thing. We'll go out and buy something more advanced. Whereas when I was growing up, it was like, $100 or more just to get in, just to figure out, that it was too hard, it took too much time, you didn't have time for it, or the kids didn't get into it, and that's just, so you're not going to do that again.
Arduino has changed the DIY business. Listen to Dave Rinke as he talks about the story of how Solar Robotics, a kit supplier, has changed over the years.
Okay, my name is Dave Rinke. I'm the president and CEO of Solar Robotics. We have been in business for over 20 years now, and we've seen a huge development in the DIY industry. When we first started out, doing DIY was a little bit of an eyebrow raiser. You want to do what? You want my child to use a soldering iron? And we actually have a really nice little niche where we would show people how they could build robots out of junk and solar power. And literally, at the end of the day, they were actually able to walk away with a twitching light form in the palm of their hand. And that was really innovative for us because nobody else was doing anything sort of autonomous, anything robotic, unless, of course, you were in a university. Now, having been in business as long as we have, we've seen a lot of interesting things happen. About 5 or 6 years ago, we bought a company called HVW Tech out of Calgary, where we're located. And their specialties were embedded systems. Back then, it was all PIC programmers and PIC chips and the like, and it was always a pretty hefty investment in getting into embedded systems. And it was right at that time when we bought it from this fellow. He said, "You might want to look at this thing called Arduino. I've had a few requests about Arduino." So we saw Arduino come onto the scene right from the get-go because we were very excited. Although we didn't have a name for it, we had always been participating in open source hardware electronics. All of our designs and schematics are available free online. We had all the directions. And here with Arduino, we're hearing about, well, gee, all these embedded systems and all these sensors and all these techniques and technology that we're discovering as part of this new company. It sounds like it would dovetail quite nicely into it. And so we watched Arduino come into this from this curiosity, whereas, yeah, there's this thing out of Europe you might want to look at. We had a couple of schools look at, and we've actually seen it spin around and turn into the monster that it has. And it's been a real eye-opener for us because we started the company with the plans of using analog discrete electronics being a cheap and innovative way to actually build something, and now it's flipped around to it's more expensive to buy a 555 timer and plug in the parts and pieces to make an oscillator than it is to go out and buy an AT Tiny chip, plug it into the free Arduino environment, and get a better, more accurate oscillator. So we've really had to spin our business on its head to adopt these new ideas because it's really hard to push, yeah, well, we are building robots out of junk, and now it's people are going, well, yeah, but Arduino is free and it's practically free for the technology, so what can we do with it? So we've gone and evolved Solar Robotics into being just from a solar-powered robotics company into a much more wide open electronics consultancy. We're now doing all kinds of weird, wonderful projects besides just solar-powered robots. As a matter of fact, we're down here showing off things like an LED dress. It's called the Chameleon Cocktail Gown, something we consulted on with a local fashion designer in Calgary, with over 20 meters of individually addressable RGB LEDs driven by an Arduino. And we've been able to leverage our expertise in building strange things into making people's dreams come true. And so we're coming down to the Maker Faire out of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and we're in San Francisco, where I am walking around and just being blown away by the sheer number of little businesses that I recognize where we had been 20 years ago. And it makes me a little scared. There's a bunch of up-and-comers nipping on my heels. And so I got to go back home to Canada and go pet my polar bear and put the huskies back in the igloo and think about what we're going to do to bring something cool and innovative to next year's Maker Faire.
So how do they get a hold of you? And how do you get a hold of you and get a hold of your products?
We have been, SolarBotics has been online at www.solarbotics.com since, well, approximately 1994. Before the term e-commerce had come about, we were doing e-commerce at the point where we would call up the bank and say, we're trying to take payment over the internet. They'd go, what? You're crazy, really? And so we have been, if you go back to the archive.org website, you'll actually see many very funky looking iterations of SolarBotics website in the last 20 years, and we're just about ready to release a new update to our website with a bunch of new ideas and services that we're going to make available to the open source community. So come to solarbotics.com, be happy to see you.
And this is big business. There was an area set up at the 2013 Maker Faire where one could buy maker kits ready to go, Arduino, Raspberry Pi, and people demonstrated what was inside the kits. There were long lines that demonstrated the interest in the maker movement. And even big companies like Texas Instruments, the chip maker of microcontrollers, showed up to introduce their alternative to Arduino. Let's listen to TI representative Mark Easley as he demos Launchpad.
Texas Instruments. All right, here we're at today in Maker Faire, San Francisco, and we're showing off some of our Texas Instruments Launchpad products. We got some very exciting, great low-cost hardware options from Texas Instruments running TI MCUs. So here on the table, I've got a couple demos. This is our MSP430 Launchpad. This retails for $9.99 from TI, as well as various retailers like DigiKey, etc. We also are running a RF module, sub 1 gigahertz. Available from the company called Anoran, and that's a booster pack which plugs directly into our Launchpad ecosystem products. This is a demoing a booster pack sandwich, as we like to say, various booster packs mated with a Launchpad displaying a wireless lighting application. We've got a capacitive touch, an RF module, and a battery pack, so this is completely wireless.
What's the price point of this?
The radio one comes in a bundle, and the capacitive touch is $10. So a lot of our booster packs are made by third parties, and you can find those on the website.
Foreign companies are getting into the act and supplying Arduino products.
So Rockets, tell us about this product you have here.
This is a 3D scanner. We use Arduino things to drive the scanner. This is Arduino, and this is a step motor driver shield to drive the step motor, and use the laser and use the camera to detect the module. So you can see here, this is the module scanner for that. So if you have a module, you cannot make a software. You can just scan it and use your 3D printer to print it.
Companies like Switch Science are supplying a host of accessory boards for the Arduino. Let's listen to a representative describe what he has for you.
Yoshi from at Switch Science. I'm from Japan, and we're open source hardware distributor, and we are serving Arduino and related products in Japan. And we are making some of our original products.
Looks like the Arduino movement isn't losing steam anytime soon. This is Greg Voria, aka Social Greg, for the Nerdstalker Media Network, reporting live from the 2013 O'Reilly Maker Faire.